everybody. I'm gonna set the phone up right here, but I am wanting to make videos for you guys to finish Chester and Gus because we had just gotten to the climax of this story. Chester has just saved Gus from hurting himself in the middle of a seizure, and he's shown that he has been able to predict when Gus is going to have a seizure, and so proven himself really important and that he's really necessary for the job with Gus. And then remember, Gus had just come home from the hospital, and his mom and dad were talking to him and asking if he wanted to go back to school, and he was able to communicate with them that he wanted to go back to school. And he said he wanted to go see Mama. And of course, his mom, Sarah, thought that he was talking about her, even though Chester and Gus both knew that he was talking about Mama in the cafeteria at school, the dish lady with the fancy dish machine. So we're going to pick up from there. And this next chapter is called How to Make a Plan. I'm going to try to read for you guys about 10 minutes, and then each, well, I don't even have my watch on, about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll make it through the end of the book, I hope. Okay, so this chapter is called How to Make a Plan. All morning long, Sarah's on the phone. As far as I can tell, the plan is to send Gus back to school, but only if she can stay with him all day as a seizure alert dog. Only if I can stay with him all day as a seizure alert dog. Yes, Chester can predict Gus's seizures, Sarah tells Mr. McGregor on the phone. We had his teacher here as a witness, so it won't be hard to prove. So far, she's talked to a doctor and another specialist. She's making lists and nodding as people on the other end of the phone tell her what she needs to do. It's been a few days since his seizure, and Gus hasn't been talkative like he was the night he came home from the hospital. But it's okay. He knows the teachers won't be coming to the house anymore, and he knows we'll be going back to school soon. He and I haven't talked privately about any of this, but I think if it's a choice, if Gus only has the patience to talk silently to me or out loud to his parents, it's better for him to talk to his parents. That's really generous of Chester, isn't it? Because he loves when Gus talks to him, but he knows it's more important that Gus communicate with his mom and dad. They need to hear what he has to say, and they can do more to help him. Since I've come to live with Gus, his biggest change was talking to his parents about school. But there have been other changes too. Some are so small, they're hard to notice, like looking at Amelia and trying to smile, like visiting Mama every day. He needs to do more of these things so that other people actually see them. He will, I think. I'll be there to help him, and he will. We just have to wait for the school to get organized. Sarah keeps talking about getting protocols in place and paperwork cleared up. While she's busy making arrangements, Gus and I are free to watch TV, which is nice. In the middle of one of our favorite Martha Speaks episodes, I hear the doorbell, which hasn't rung since the teachers stopped coming to the house. It worries me that maybe they've changed their minds and decided to come back. But no, I go to the front door and there is Penny talking to Sarah. And even though it's confusing to see her here again, it's impossible for me not to say hello. I jump around and lick her hand and bring her a shoe to say hi. Oh, sweet dog, I'm happy to see you too, Penny says, bending down and hugging my neck. So happy. Even though Penny just got here, it sounds like she and Sarah are in the middle of a conversation, like maybe they were talking on the phone earlier and I didn't realize it. How long do you think you'd need to teach him all this? Sarah asks her. It's hard to say. Chester's always been a fast learner, but what do you want him to be doing exactly? Sarah pulls out a notebook. She's made a list like she always does, and she starts reading. In the event of a seizure, Chester will need to move Gus away from the stairs and windows. He should stay nearby to help him sit down or lie down. He should press the emergency alert button Gus will be wearing around his neck. And after that, if Gus is safe and the seizure is over, he should leave Gus and get help from an adult. He should go first to the teacher and then to the nurse. I look at Penny. I can learn all this quickly. You remember how smart I am. Maybe a month, Penny says. Sarah frowns. Would it really take that long? We want Gus to be back in school as soon as possible, and we don't want him there without Chester. The school has agreed if he masters seizure response skills with a certified trainer. Well, the school has agreed. I know this is a lot to ask, but we were hoping it might take a week or maybe 2 at the outside. Penny thinks about this for a moment. The only way I could do that is if I brought Chester home with me and worked with him there. Training like this needs to be done intensively, about 8 hours a day. Sarah looks confused. Doesn't he need to be with Gus for this? No, it's better if he isn't, actually. The point is to generalize Chester's responses to as many different situations as possible. The person won't change, but the places will. Suddenly, I feel worried. Penny's talking too fast. She looks nervous the way she looked in front of the group at the farm. I guess you know best, but I think you'd want to do that kind of practice with Gus. Yes, I tell Penny. I should do it with Gus. She pats her skirt. To be honest, it's such a hard, repetitious work that I'd hate to put Gus through that. I'd rather take Chester home with me, do the hard part myself, and bring him back, all trained and ready as a seizure response dog. I don't know. Gus has gotten very attached to him. Wouldn't you be willing to come to the house and work with him here so he can still spend his evenings with us? Penny closes her eyes as if she's giving this idea some thought. It's not a good idea. These are challenging skills and they won't be easy to learn. As smart as Chester is, I'd like to have his attention as focused on me as possible. Oh gosh. Sarah smiles down at me and picks up one of my ears to rub. We'll miss you so much, Chess. I hate to let you go for even a week. I look up at her. It's not a good idea, I say with my eyes. Something bad might happen to Gus if I leave for a week. And Sarah smiles at me. Sometimes I think she almost hears me and then ignores it because if she heard a dog talking, she'd be crazy. Aren't we being silly? Look at Chester's face. It's like we both want to cry. She bends down and whispers in my ear. It'll be okay, sweetheart. When we get you back, you and Gus can go to school together again. When she stands up, she's all business again. Okay, I'll pack up his things. Move, Chess. I want you to have your bed at Penny's house. And I move off my bed. She piles my bowls and puts some food in a bag. I'd like Gus to come down and say goodbye before you go. I don't have a lot of time, Penny says, instead of seeming less nervous. She seems more nervous now. She's looking at the door and pressing her hand to her head. Well, this won't take long, I promise. Sarah goes into the TV room to get Gus. Even though we're alone in the room, Penny still won't look at me. In her heart, she must know this isn't a good idea. I go close and nudge her hand. It's me, I try to say. If you watch me with this family, you'll see. This is where I belong. She pets me a little, but won't look me in the eyes. What do you think is going on? Why is Penny acting so strange? Sarah walks back in with Gus beside her. Okay, Gus, Chester's going away with his old friend Penny for a little while. We're all going to miss him. So we have to say goodbye before he goes. Can you say goodbye, Chester? Tell her no, I say to Gus. Tell her Chester doesn't want to go. He hears me. I see it in the way his expression changes. His whole face turns. Say no, I repeat it slowly. Tell her Chester doesn't want to go. His body starts to rock and he goes up on his toes. I inhale, but I don't smell a seizure coming, and this is my chance. He opens his mouth. Niece, he says softly. So softly, even Sarah doesn't hear. Louder, I say. Time for us to get going, Penny says. Gus makes her more nervous, I can tell. I think Penny's afraid that maybe she's like Gus in some ways. Penny clips on my leash and Gus doesn't say anything and she moves us toward the door. Wait, Sarah says. I turn around and go back to Sarah as far as the leash will let me. Don't you need his vest? You can't practice in public places without it, right? Oh, yes, Penny says. Thank you. That was silly of me. Sarah pulls it off the hook in the mudroom where it usually hangs. A minute later, we're gone. Penny jogs me out to the car and opens the front passenger side where I always used to ride. I thought I missed it, but now I'm not so sure. I don't want to leave Gus. I don't want to wonder what's happening back here and have no way to know. In the car, Penny starts talking the minute we've pulled out of the driveway. She didn't mention your reading program once, not once. You've lived there for, 4 months? And this whole time, the only thing she's thought about is herself and her family. Gus this and Gus that. The whole time I was there. Oh, it makes me so angry. Is she trying to say she didn't have time to work with you for 20 minutes a day on your reading? That was all I asked for. What a waste. It's not a waste to think about Gus. That's my job. She's been helping me do it. I'll tell you something, Chess. The first thing we're going to do when we get back home is work on the flashcards and test your vocabulary. I want to see how much you've regressed living with those people. I don't know what regressed means. It's not a word in my vocabulary. Do you know what it means? Can you figure out what it means? If he says, actually, Penny says, you want to see how much you've regressed in the time that you've been away from the vocabulary cards. Can you use the context to figure out what regressed means? It's not a word in Chester's vocabulary. No, I try to tell her. We promised to work on seizure response skills. I only have a week to learn them, remember? She doesn't answer me, of course. Even if she could hear me, I don't think she would. She's not good at back and forth conversations like this. I'm going to stop there for tonight. I don't know how many minutes that was because I forgot to put my watch on, but I want to make sure the video is working and I'll upload this as soon as I can. Bye, guys.